Chapter 1. The Biology of Belief. Stanford, autumn of 1982. Under the flickering glow of a microscope, a young cell biologist made a discovery that would forever change the way we see life. His name was Bruce Lipton. What he witnessed that night seemed almost forbidden, like a miracle science was not ready to accept. His stem cells were changing their fate, not by altering their DNA, but as if obeying some invisible command, as if a hidden voice was guiding them. In that instant, the revelation struck him like lightning. DNA was not the director, not the master conductor. DNA was only a musician, waiting for instructions. For years he kept this secret close to his heart. What he had uncovered was profound. That your genes are not in control of your life. They are servants of your beliefs. That every single thought you harbor is not just imagination, it is a biological command. That your subconscious mind silently directs 95% of your cellular reality, like an ancient spell whispering in the dark. But there was even more. Lipton discovered that your cells are quantum antennas, receivers of invisible frequencies, constantly tuning in to the broadcast of your inner world. For decades, this knowledge was hidden, suppressed, ignored. But now it is time. What you are about to hear is not cold theory. It is not distant speculation. It is a manuscript of biological transformation, the scientific confessions of a man who uncovered the greatest truth of our age, that we are not the helpless victims of our genes. We are their conscious masters. And to those who listen until the very end, a genetic revelation will be given. You will learn the protocols, the scientific methods, to awaken the sleeping power within every one of your cells. This is not a book. It is an activation. Your cells have been waiting, listening, ready for your command. The only question is, are you ready to give it? Every single thought you entertain, every single belief you allow is like a prayer. And your body listens. Your body obeys. Allow me to share with you what I discovered one quiet dawn of 1982. I had separated genetically identical stem cells into 3 different petri dishes. To the first group, I added a medium that favored muscle growth. To the second, a medium that supported bone development. To the third, a medium that promoted fat cells. And what I saw that night challenged everything I had been taught about genetics. The very same cells with the exact same DNA transformed into muscle, into bone, and into fat, depending entirely on the environment in which I had placed them. It was not their genetic code that determined their destiny. It was their surroundings. It was their perception of the signals around them. In that silent moment in the laboratory, as the first rays of dawn filtered through the window, I realized a truth that science had overlooked for decades. Our genes do not control our biology. It is our perception of the environment that does. And here is the deeper implication. If the cells respond to their environment, and we are communities of 50 trillion cells, then it means that our thoughts, our beliefs, our perceptions, the environment we create within ourselves, are literally rewriting our biology moment by moment. I remember one of my patients years later. Her name was Sarah. She carried a genetic predisposition for breast cancer, one that had haunted her family for generations. Doctors told her she had an 87% chance of developing the disease. She lived in constant fear, inspecting her body obsessively, waiting for the inevitable, dreading the curse of her genes. I explained to her what I had discovered, that having the gene does not mean expressing the gene, that her beliefs, her terror, her certainty of an inevitable future were in fact creating the very biochemical environment that could trigger what she feared most. For 6 months, Sarah and I worked together, not just in dissolving her limiting beliefs, but in installing new perceptions about her personal power. She learned to see herself not as a victim of her DNA, but as the conscious programmer of her biological destiny. When she returned for medical tests, something extraordinary had happened. The markers of her predisposition had changed. Her doctor, baffled, suggested that maybe the earlier tests had been wrong. But Sarah and I knew the truth. She had reprogrammed her biology with consciousness. Do you understand what this means for you? Every single belief you carry about your health, your capacity, your worth, each one is sending a chemical signal to your cells. If you believe you are fragile, your body weakens. If you believe you are powerful, your biology strengthens. If you believe love is possible, your heart opens and releases healing hormones. If you believe you are condemned to suffering, your nervous system prepares for war. The biology of belief is not a metaphor. It is quantum mechanics in action inside your body. Over the years, I documented how positive beliefs activate genes that promote growth and healing, while negative beliefs activate genes of protection and survival. When you live in survival mode, your immune system weakens, your creativity shuts down, your ability to connect is reduced. But when you embrace empowering beliefs, when you choose perceptions that honor your divine power, something magical occurs. Your body remembers its original design of perfect health and unconditional love. Imagine for a moment that every one of your cells is like a tiny radio receiver, constantly tuning to the frequency of your thoughts and emotions. When you change your mental station from fear to love, from limitation to possibility, from victim to creator, you are literally changing the music that plays in your biology. Your DNA is not your destiny. It is a library of possibilities, waiting for you to consciously choose the story you want to write with your life. Tonight, before you fall asleep, whisper a new truth to your body. Tell it, I am power. I am loved. I am capable of healing and transformation. And watch as your biology begins to move to the rhythm of your new song, because your body has been waiting for you to remember that you are the composer of your own cellular symphony. Chapter 2. The Power of the Subconscious. The first 7 years of your life, they wrote the script that your body plays out every single day. There is a secret I have carried for decades, a secret that explains why so many people feel trapped, fighting invisible forces that sabotage even their best intentions. It is the story of the most powerful program running within you, your subconscious mind. Imagine for a moment that your conscious mind is like the proud captain of a great ship, standing tall on the command deck, giving orders, making decisions. But here is the truth that very few people understand. The subconscious is the entire crew working silently below deck, operating the engines, steering through the currents, keeping the ship afloat. The captain can shout as loudly as he wants, but if the crew has been programmed to follow a different course, the ship will continue to sail in that direction. During my years of research, I discovered something that completely changed my understanding of human nature. Between birth and the age of 7, our brains operate primarily in theta waves, the very same state that adults experience during deep hypnosis. In those first formative years, we are living recording machines, absorbing every word, every emotion, every behavioral pattern from our environment, without any critical filter, without judgment. Whatever is spoken, whatever is repeated, whatever is emotionally charged, is recorded directly into the subconscious. And once it is recorded, it becomes law. Let me tell you about an experiment that forever shifted my perspective. I observed a little boy, only 5 years old. His mother, frustrated, would constantly repeat to him, "You are so clumsy. You always break things." Week after week, I watched as the child began to stumble more often, spill liquids, and break objects. His nervous system had recorded the belief, "I am clumsy," and his body obediently manifested that program. Years later, that same boy, now an adult, came to me desperate, frustrated. He couldn't hold a steady job. He constantly made mistakes. He broke important equipment. He stumbled during crucial presentations. His conscious mind desperately wanted success, but his subconscious was still running the program installed decades earlier. "I am clumsy. I break things." Do you see the magnitude of this? 95% of your life is directed by subconscious programs installed before the age of 7. Programs you don't even remember learning. Programs created by the voices and experiences of your earliest childhood. I remember vividly my own revelation in this field. For years I battled with patterns of financial self-sabotage. Every time I began to prosper, something inside me would sabotage my efforts. Consciously, I desired abundance, but unconsciously, I was operating from a different program. One day, during a session of deep hypnosis, the memory surfaced. I was 4 years old, sitting in the kitchen, listening to my parents argue about money. My father, overwhelmed, shouted, "Money is the root of all evil. Good people don't need much money." My young mind, in a theta state, recorded this as an absolute truth. For decades, my subconscious had been protecting my goodness by keeping me away from evil money. My conscious mind fought for financial success, but my subconscious sabotaged every opportunity to preserve my identity as a good person. And then came the most powerful revelation of all. Once you understand how this system works, you can reprogram it. The subconscious does not distinguish between what is real and what is vividly imagined. It has no sense of time. For it, past, present, and future are one. This means you can install new programs using the very same techniques that created the originals: repetition, emotion, and altered states of consciousness. During my research, I developed a specific protocol. Every morning for 20 minutes, I put on headphones and listened to powerful affirmations while my brain naturally passed through theta waves upon waking. But I did not just hear the words. I felt them. I visualized them. I embodied them emotionally. I am prosperous. I deserve abundance. The money flows to me because I use my gifts to serve the world. Over months, I consciously installed these new beliefs, overwriting the old files that had controlled my financial destiny. And the results were extraordinary. Opportunities that I could not even see before began to appear. Decisions that once paralyzed me became clear. My body stopped sabotaging my efforts because finally my conscious and subconscious minds were working in harmony. But do you know what was the deepest discovery? That this process does not only change your behavior, it transforms your biology. When your subconscious beliefs align with your conscious desires, your nervous system relaxes, your immune system strengthens, your brain chemistry optimizes itself for success and happiness. Every single cell in your body is listening to the ongoing conversation between your conscious and subconscious mind. When there is inner conflict, your biology enters stress. When there is harmony, your body flourishes in health and vitality. Throughout my years of research, I have documented extraordinary cases of transformation. People who overcame so-called incurable diseases by reprogramming their subconscious beliefs about deserving health. Individuals who broke generational cycles of poverty by installing new programs of abundance. Couples who healed toxic relationships by transforming childhood programs about love and trust. The most powerful technique I discovered is what I call conscious theta programming. Every night before sleep, as your brain naturally moves into theta waves, whisper to your subconscious the truths you want to become your new reality. Do it with emotion, with conviction, as if it were already true. My body knows how to heal. I am worthy of unconditional love. I have the power to create the life of my dreams. Do not just say the words, feel them vibrating in every cell of your body. In this state, your subconscious offers no resistance. It records these new instructions as truth. Night after night, you overwrite decades of limiting programming with the truth of your divine power. Remember, your subconscious mind is not your enemy. It is your most loyal servant, executing flawlessly any program it has been given. Once you learn to communicate with it in its own language, repetition, emotion, and altered states of consciousness, it becomes your most powerful ally in transformation. Tonight, when your head touches the pillow, recognize the sacred power that lies dormant within your subconscious. Whisper to it new truths, because after decades of running programs given by others, it is finally time for you to consciously write the software of your soul. Chapter Drita Sacred Epigenetics. There is a word you may have heard in the halls of science, epigenetics. At first it sounds complex, technical, something reserved only for laboratories and white coats. But let me reveal its true meaning. EPI means above. Epigenetics means above the genes. It is the science that proves your genes are not your destiny, because something greater controls them, your perception of the world. For decades, the official story was this: DNA is everything. Your chromosomes are fixed. Your destiny is written at birth. If your parents had heart disease, you are condemned. If your family carried cancer, you must live in fear. If your ancestors suffered depression, it is only a matter of time before you do too. But epigenetics came like a lightning bolt across the night. It revealed that genes are not rigid commands carved in stone. They are flexible, dynamic, like switches that can be turned on or off depending on the environment. And here lies the sacred revelation. The most powerful environment is not the one outside you. It is the one you create inside yourself, through your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions, your inner world. Let me tell you about an experiment that illustrates this truth. In the laboratory, I placed genetically identical cells in 3 different environments. In the first dish, the cells multiplied with vitality, expressing genes of health and growth. In the second, they began to weaken, activating genes of protection and survival. In the third, they moved toward disease. Identical DNA. 3 completely different destinies. Why? Because of the environment surrounding them. Now imagine your body. You are not made of a few cells, but of 50 trillion cells. Each one is listening to the environment you create inside yourself. If you live in fear, anger, or stress, your cells activate the programs of protection. Your immune system shuts down, because in survival mode, growth and repair are suspended. If you live in gratitude, love, and peace, your cells activate the programs of growth. Healing accelerates. Regeneration unfolds. Your body literally becomes a temple of light. This is the sacred dimension of epigenetics. It is not only science, it is a bridge between the material and the spiritual. Because what the mystics said for centuries, your thoughts create your reality, is now confirmed in the laboratory. Your DNA is not a dictator. It is a library of possibilities. And you are the librarian who chooses which books to open and which ones to close. I remember a woman named Isabel. She carried a genetic marker for Alzheimer's disease. For years she lived in terror, waiting for the day when her memory would fade, when she would lose herself like her mother and grandmother before her. But when she discovered epigenetics, she understood that she was not condemned. She decided to live each day in joy and purpose, practicing meditation, gratitude, and deep connection. Decades passed, and not only did she remain healthy, but medical tests revealed that the supposed inevitable gene remained silent. The curse had been broken, not by external medicine, but by the power of her consciousness. Epigenetics teaches us that only about 1% of diseases are truly genetic. The other 99% are the result of how our genes respond to the environment we create. This means that the vast majority of illnesses are not a matter of bad luck, but of perception, of belief, of the inner dialogue that constantly shapes the biochemical soup bathing our cells. Let me give you an image. Your DNA is like the keyboard of a piano. Epigenetics is the pianist. The melody depends not on the keys themselves, but on the hands that play them. And those hands are your perceptions, your beliefs, your emotions. If you play notes of fear, your body resonates with disease. If you play notes of love, your body vibrates with healing. Now here is where the sacred dimension emerges. When you choose consciously to cultivate gratitude, compassion, and joy, you are not only changing your mood, you are literally switching on genes of longevity, vitality, and regeneration. When you indulge in anger, bitterness, and despair, you are not only affecting your emotions, you are switching on genes of inflammation, degeneration, and decay. Your biology is a mirror of your inner world. This is why ancient traditions insisted so strongly on cultivating inner states. Not because they lacked science, but because they understood the sacred science of perception. They knew that to change the outer world, you must first transform the inner one. Now let me ask you, what are you rehearsing in your mind every day? Are you rehearsing stress, fear, resentment? Or are you rehearsing gratitude, love, and expansion? Because whatever you rehearse, your cells are listening, and your genes are responding. Epigenetics is not just a theory, it is a daily practice. Every thought is an epigenetic command. Every belief is a molecular switch. Every emotion is a signal that shapes your destiny. So tonight, when you place your hand on your heart, remember this: your DNA is not your jailer. It is your orchestra, and your consciousness is the conductor. Whisper to your cells, I choose life. I choose love. I choose to activate the genes of health, of joy, and of abundance. And watch how your biology begins to sing a different melody, the sacred melody of epigenetics. Chapter 4. Cells as quantum antennas. Under the microscope, a cell may look simple: a membrane, a nucleus, a handful of organelles suspended in liquid. But the more I studied them, the more I realized cells are not inert machines. They are living, vibrating, resonating beings. And beyond that, I discovered something that completely altered the way I see life. Each of your cells is a quantum antenna, a receiver and transmitter of invisible frequencies. For years, traditional science told us that consciousness is locked inside the brain, like a ghost trapped within gray matter. But my research revealed something far more astonishing. Cells, even when separated from the brain, isolated in petri dishes, continued to behave as if they were tuned into signals from an invisible field. They responded to vibrations. They aligned with frequencies. It was as though they were listening to a cosmic radio station. Let me tell you about an experiment that changed me forever. I was studying heart cells, placed in isolation. Each one beat independently, without order. But when I placed them together in a dish, something extraordinary happened. The cells began to synchronize. Their beats aligned until they pulsed in perfect rhythm, as though they were following an invisible conductor. There were no wires. No chemical signals exchanged. It was resonance. It was coherence. It was proof that cells are antennas, tuned into invisible fields of energy. This realization made me question everything I thought I knew. What if consciousness is not produced by the brain at all? What if the brain is only a translator, and the true origin of consciousness is a field of information that surrounds us at all times? Think of a radio. The device does not create the music you hear. It only captures frequencies that already exist in the air. Break the radio and the music still continues. It simply cannot be heard through that device anymore. In the same way, your body is a biological receiver. Your consciousness is the invisible broadcast. When the body dies, the broadcast does not disappear. It continues to exist, eternal, infinite. This explains mysteries that conventional science has never been able to solve. Near-death experiences where people report vivid awareness, even when their brain activity has flatlined. Cases of people recalling details of conversations or scenes they could not possibly have witnessed with their physical senses. Spontaneous healings, where the body recovers in ways that medicine cannot explain. All of these point to the same truth. Your consciousness is not trapped in your body. Your body is the antenna through which your consciousness expresses itself. I remember a man named David who suffered a cardiac arrest. For 6 minutes his heart stopped. His brain should have been incapable of recording anything. And yet, when he was resuscitated, he described with absolute precision the conversations that his family had been having in the waiting room, far from his hospital bed. How could he know this? Because his consciousness had not been confined to his neurons. It had continued to exist in the field, perceiving reality beyond the limits of his physical body. Now here is the key. If your cells are antennas, then you have the power to consciously tune them. When you live in fear, anger, or despair, your body vibrates at a lower frequency, and your cells tune into fields of limitation and survival. When you live in love, gratitude, and compassion, your body vibrates at a higher frequency, and your cells tune into fields of healing, creativity, and expansion. Every thought you think is a frequency. Every emotion you feel is a vibration. And your 50 trillion cellular antennas are listening, adjusting, resonating with that broadcast. This is why meditation, prayer, and sacred chanting are so powerful. They are not simply rituals of comfort. They are technologies of resonance, practices that align your cellular antennas with higher frequencies of consciousness. I once worked with a woman named Anna who suffered from an aggressive autoimmune disease. Her immune system was attacking her own body. Doctors had exhausted all treatments, and she was losing hope. I explained to her the nature of her cells, how they functioned as antennas that could be tuned. She began a daily practice. Every morning, she entered a deep meditative state. She imagined every cell in her body glowing with light, vibrating like golden receivers tuned to the frequency of love and healing. She whispered to herself, "My body is attuned to harmony. Every cell listens to love. Every cell obeys the vibration of healing." Within months, her symptoms disappeared. Her medical tests showed complete remission. Doctors called it a miracle. But Anna and I knew the truth. She had simply retuned her antennas. Do you understand what this means for you? You are not a mechanical machine doomed by DNA. You are a luminous being of consciousness, broadcasting through 50 trillion cellular antennas. When you change the frequency of your thoughts, you change the station your body plays. When you choose gratitude, your body resonates with vitality. When you choose compassion, your body resonates with harmony. When you choose love, your body resonates with expansion. Tonight, when you close your eyes, imagine every one of your cells as a small golden antenna, shining and vibrating. Say to them, "I tune into the frequency of love. I tune into the frequency of abundance. I tune into the frequency of infinite healing." And watch as your body begins to respond, not because of blind faith, but because your biology is wired for resonance. Your body has never been a prison. It has always been a radio, a living antenna. And you, through your consciousness, hold the power to choose the station you want to live in. Chapter 5. The 95% Matrix. Imagine waking up in the morning, deciding consciously, today I will eat healthier. Today I will be patient. Today I will be productive. And yet hours later you find yourself reaching for the same unhealthy foods, losing your temper, procrastinating on the same tasks. Why does this happen? Why does your conscious decision seem so weak against invisible forces? The answer is hidden in what I call the 95% matrix. Neuroscience has shown us that your conscious mind, the part of you that dreams, sets goals, analyzes and plans, operates only about 5% of the day. The other 95% of your behavior is controlled automatically by your subconscious programs. This means that, for most of the time, you are not truly living as the conscious captain of your life. You are running on autopilot, executing scripts that were installed long ago, most of them before the age of 7. Think about that for a moment. Every time you brush your teeth, you do it without thinking, because the program was installed. Every time you drive home without even remembering the journey, it is the subconscious taking over. And in the same way, every time you sabotage a relationship, fail at finances, or fall back into unhealthy patterns, it is because your subconscious is simply running the old software. I remember working with a man named Robert. Consciously, he wanted to be successful in his career. He read books, attended seminars, repeated affirmations every morning. But no matter how hard he tried, something always went wrong. Opportunities slipped through his fingers. He felt invisible in meetings. He was constantly overlooked for promotions. When we explored his subconscious programming, we uncovered the root. As a child, he had heard his father say repeatedly, "People like us never get ahead. We will always be poor." That program, recorded in theta state during his early years, had become law for his subconscious. So although Robert Sett's conscious mind shouted, "I am successful, I deserve abundance," his subconscious whispered, "You are destined to fail." And because the subconscious controls 95% of behavior, the whisper overpowered the shout. This is the matrix we all live in, an invisible prison made of inherited beliefs, childhood phrases, emotional traumas, and cultural programming. A prison so powerful that it can dictate your health, your wealth, your relationships, even your sense of self. And yet, most people are unaware that they are inside it. But here is the truth that can set you free. The matrix is not real. It is only a program, and every program can be rewritten. Let me give you another example. A woman named Clara came to me, desperate about her love life. She was intelligent, beautiful, accomplished, but she kept attracting partners who were emotionally unavailable or abusive. When we traced her subconscious programs, we discovered the root. As a little girl, she had watched her father neglect her mother, leaving her crying and waiting. Her young brain, in theta, recorded the program. Love means suffering. Love means being abandoned. As an adult, that subconscious program dictated 95% of her choices. Even when she met kind and loving men, she felt no attraction. She only resonated with those who could recreate the familiar pain of her childhood. When Clara realized this, she was heartbroken, but she was also empowered, because awareness is the first step to freedom. We worked together on reprogramming. Through hypnosis, affirmations in theta state, and daily repetition, she installed a new program. Love is safe. I am worthy of respect. I deserve kindness. Months later, she met a man who embodied those qualities. And for the first time, she felt attraction to a partner who gave her peace instead of pain. The matrix had been hacked. Now let us look at the science behind this. Your brain is a network of neural pathways. Every time you repeat a thought or behavior, you strengthen those pathways like carving grooves into a record. The subconscious follows those grooves automatically, playing the same song over and over. This is why change feels so difficult. It is not because you are weak. It is because you are trying to change a program with willpower alone, using 5% of your conscious mind to fight against 95% of automated programming. It is like trying to stop a moving train by standing on the tracks with your bare hands. But here is the good news. Just as grooves are carved into the record, new grooves can be made. Neuroplasticity proves that the brain is not fixed. It can rewire itself with repetition, emotion, and intention. When you practice new thoughts, new affirmations, new emotional states, especially in theta states of consciousness, you are literally writing new programs into the 95% that controls your life. The 95% matrix may sound frightening, but it is also a blessing. Because once you consciously program it, the subconscious becomes your most powerful ally. Imagine 95% of your life running on programs of love, abundance, health, and joy. Imagine your autopilot working for you, not against you. That is the true liberation. Not to escape the matrix, but to reprogram it consciously. Tonight, as you prepare to sleep, remember this. The words you whisper to yourself in the silence are seeds planted in the fertile soil of your subconscious. Repeat them with conviction, with emotion, with faith. Because while your conscious mind rests, the 95% matrix is listening. And what it hears tonight will become the reality of your tomorrow. Chapter 6. The body is a living hologram. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine holding a small holographic card in your hand. When you shine light on it, an image appears. Now, if you cut the card in half, something extraordinary happens. Each half still contains the full image. If you cut it again into smaller and smaller pieces, every fragment still contains the whole picture. This is the essence of a hologram. The whole is present in every part. And here is the revelation. Your body, your being, your very biology is a hologram. Science has already shown us this principle. Every single cell in your body carries the entire genetic blueprint of your being. A skin cell contains the information to make a heart. A liver cell contains the instructions to form a brain. The whole is encoded within every part. But beyond DNA, this principle extends into the energetic and spiritual dimensions of your existence. I remember reading the work of Carl Pribram, the neuroscientist, who proposed that the brain functions like a holographic processor, and David Bohm, the quantum physicist, who described the universe itself as a hologram, where every fragment of reality contains the totality of the cosmos. And then I saw it reflected in my own research. The body is not a machine made of separate parts. It is a living hologram where each part reflects and contains the whole. This explains phenomena that defy conventional logic. Have you ever wondered how a healer can place their hands over one part of the body and yet an entirely different area begins to recover? Or how acupuncture on a single point of the skin can influence the organs deep inside? It is because every point in your body contains the information of the whole. It also explains why trauma in childhood can echo through every aspect of adult life. One memory, one emotional wound, contains holographically the entire pattern of suffering that follows. Heal the memory, and the entire pattern dissolves. I remember a woman named Elena who suffered from chronic pain in her back. She had seen countless doctors, undergone tests, taken medications, but nothing worked. During a session, I asked her to place her hand on her heart, and breathe slowly. Suddenly, tears began to flow. Memories surfaced of her childhood when she carried the weight of caring for her younger siblings while her parents struggled with poverty. Her back pain was not only physical, it was holographic, a representation of the emotional weight she had carried since childhood. When she healed that memory, when she released the belief that she had to carry everything alone, her pain disappeared. Her body had reflected the hologram of her inner world. Do you see the power of this? You are not a machine of separate parts. You are an indivisible whole. What happens in your mind is mirrored in your body. What happens in your cells is mirrored in your life. This is why ancient wisdom taught, as above, so below, as within, so without. They were describing the holographic nature of reality. Your DNA itself is holographic. It does not function like a linear book, but like a multi-dimensional antenna, capable of expressing infinite possibilities depending on the frequencies it receives. And here is the sacred truth. When you change your perception, when you alter the frequency of your emotions, you do not only heal one part of yourself, you shift the entire hologram. Think of your body as a hall of mirrors. If one mirror is dirty, the whole image looks distorted. But when you clean a single mirror, the light begins to shine more clearly through all of them. Healing does not require fixing every part separately. It requires shifting the pattern, the hologram, that the parts are reflecting. This is why practices such as meditation, prayer, or even a single moment of deep gratitude can influence your entire physiology. One coherent emotion reorganizes the hologram of your being, and your cells respond in harmony. I once guided a man named Julian through a session of holographic visualization. He was battling severe digestive problems. Instead of focusing on the physical symptoms, I asked him to visualize himself as a hologram of light, each cell shining as a reflection of the whole. As he imagined this, he felt warmth spreading through his abdomen. For the first time in years, his body relaxed. In the following weeks, his symptoms diminished until they disappeared entirely. It was not the visualization alone. It was the shift in his perception of himself. He no longer saw himself as broken pieces, but as a unified field. And here lies the secret. When you change the holographic image within, the outer reflection must change. So tonight, before you sleep, imagine this. Your entire body is a luminous hologram, a single field of light. Every cell contains the whole. Every thought ripples through the entirety of your being. Every emotion reorganizes the pattern of your reality. Whisper to yourself, I am whole. I am light. I carry the infinite image of the universe within me. Because the truth is simple yet profound. You are not a collection of broken parts. You are a living hologram of infinite consciousness. Chapter 7. The language of emotions. For centuries we have been told that emotions are weaknesses, irrational storms of the mind, something to control, suppress, or ignore. But in truth, emotions are not flaws. They are the most ancient and sacred language of the body. Every emotion you feel is a biochemical signal, a message that travels through your nervous system, your hormones, and your very cells. Emotions are not abstract. They are instructions, and your cells obey them with absolute loyalty. When you feel fear, your body does not simply imagine danger. It floods your system with stress hormones, cortisol, adrenaline. Your blood vessels constrict, your immune system weakens, your digestive processes shut down. Every cell prepares for battle, even if the threat exists only in your mind. When you feel love, your heart opens. Oxytocin and dopamine flow like rivers. Your immune system strengthens, your cells regenerate, your nervous system relaxes. Every cell hears the command. It is safe to grow. I remember a patient named Mary Ann. She had lived in constant anxiety for years, her body trapped in a storm of fear. Her immune system was collapsing. Doctors diagnosed her with an autoimmune condition, telling her there was no cure. But I taught her something simple: to treat emotions not as enemies but as sacred messengers. Every time she felt fear, instead of resisting, she asked, "What is this emotion trying to tell me? What message is hidden here?" Slowly, she began to listen. Her fear was showing her that she carried unhealed wounds from childhood, times when she had felt unsafe and alone. By facing those memories with compassion, Mary Ann transformed her relationship with fear, and as her emotional state shifted, her biology shifted too. Her symptoms improved until they disappeared, not because of a pill, but because she learned the language of emotions. You see, emotions are the bridge between the conscious and the subconscious. Your conscious mind speaks in logic, analysis, and language, but your subconscious mind speaks in emotions and symbols. If you try to convince your subconscious with mere logic, it will not listen. But when you combine an idea with strong emotion, the subconscious records it immediately as truth. This is why affirmations without emotion often fail. Repeating words mechanically has little impact. But when you feel those words, when you embody them emotionally, they become commands that rewrite your biology. Think of anger. When repressed, it becomes poison, tightening your body, inflaming your cells, destroying your health. But when understood, anger is a message. A boundary has been crossed. Something must be corrected. Think of sadness. When denied, it becomes depression, draining your life force. But when embraced, sadness is a message. Something precious has been lost. Allow yourself to grieve and release. Think of joy. It is the bodycep's way of saying, yes, this path is aligned. Continue here. Every emotion has a sacred purpose. Not one is meaningless. Not one is accidental. The problem arises when we ignore them, repress them, or drown in them without listening to the message they carry. I remember guiding a man named Andre who had suffered heart problems for years. Physically, doctors could find no serious cause, but emotionally he was carrying decades of unspoken resentment. Every disappointment, every betrayal, every harsh word, he had stored them in silence, locked within his chest. His heart literally was suffocating under the weight of unexpressed emotion. Through therapy, Andre began to express what had been buried. He wrote letters never meant to be sent, poured out his anger and his grief onto paper, and then released them. Over time, his heart problems diminished. Not because the organ was fixed, but because the emotional burden was lifted. Do you see? Your body is not your enemy. It is the messenger, faithfully expressing the emotions you refuse to acknowledge. If you feel chronic pain, ask yourself, what emotion am I not expressing? If you feel exhaustion, ask, what part of me has been silenced for too long? If you feel illness, ask, what truth is my body trying to reveal through this? This is why ancient traditions included dance, music, ritual, and storytelling. They were not just forms of art. They were technologies of emotional release, ways of speaking the language of the body, so that energy could flow and not stagnate. Modern science confirms this. When you laugh, your immune system strengthens. When you cry, your body releases stress hormones. When you sing or chant, your nervous system calms into coherence. So here's the practice. Stop fighting your emotions. Stop labeling them as good or bad. Instead, ask, what message are you bringing me? When you listen deeply, the emotion dissolves and the wisdom remains. Tonight, as you close your eyes, place your hand on your heart and whisper, I listen. I honor the language of my emotions. I allow them to guide me toward healing and truth. Because your emotions are not obstacles. They are sacred instructions from the deepest intelligence within you. And when you learn to listen to them, you will discover that your body has always been fluent in the most ancient language of all, the language of emotions. Chapter 8. Reprogramming the inner child. Deep inside you lives a child. Not just a memory of who you once were, but a living presence, a fragment of consciousness that still carries the emotions, the beliefs, and the wounds of your earliest years. This inner child is not a metaphor. It is the very part of your subconscious that was programmed between birth and age 7 during the theta state of pure absorption. It still operates today, silently guiding your reactions, shaping your relationships, and influencing your health. If you have ever felt yourself overreact to a small situation, bursting with anger, drowning in sadness, or trembling with fear, it was not the adult you responding. It was the inner child, still waiting for love, for safety, for recognition. I once worked with a woman named Claire. She was intelligent, accomplished, admired by her peers, and yet she lived with a constant fear of abandonment. Every time her partner was late, she panicked. Every time someone didn't reply to her messages quickly, she spiraled into despair. When we traced this pattern, we discovered the root. At 4 years old, Claire had watched her father leave her mother. She remembered sitting by the window, waiting, believing that if she were only good enough, her father would come back. Her subconscious recorded the program. People I love always leave me. I am not enough. Decades later, that inner child was still running her life. The truth is that most adults walk through life as children disguised in grown bodies. The wounds of the inner child become the patterns of the adult. The child who was told, "You are stupid," grows into an adult who doubts every decision. The child who was told, "You must be perfect to be loved," becomes the adult who burns out in endless self-criticism. The child who was ignored learns, "My voice does not matter," and becomes the adult who cannot speak up in meetings or in relationships. But here is the revelation. The inner child can be reprogrammed. It is never too late to return to that child, to hold them, to whisper a new truth into their heart. There is a powerful exercise I teach, one that has transformed countless lives. Find a quiet space. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply until your mind softens. Then imagine yourself walking down a hallway. At the end of that hallway is a door. Behind it, your inner child is waiting. Open the door. See them. Perhaps they are frightened, perhaps sad, perhaps still holding the tears they were never allowed to cry. Kneel down, look into their eyes, and tell them what they have always longed to hear. You are safe. You are loved. You are enough, exactly as you are. I will never abandon you again. I remember a man named Lewis who practiced this. As a child, he had been ridiculed by his teachers. Every time he tried to speak in class, he was silenced. As an adult, he could not give presentations without shaking. His voice cracked. His body froze. Through the reprogramming of his inner child, Louis began to visualize himself entering the classroom again. This time, instead of ridicule, he imagined his adult self standing beside him, protecting him, encouraging him. Slowly, the subconscious rewrote the memory. The old program, "My voice is dangerous," was replaced with a new one. "My voice is valuable." Months later, Louis gave his first confident public presentation. Tears streamed down his face afterward, not from fear, but from the liberation of a child who had finally been heard. This is not fantasy. It is neuroscience. The brain cannot distinguish between an event that happened in the past and one vividly imagined in the present. When you revisit childhood memories with love and new perception, you literally rewire your neural pathways, replacing trauma with empowerment. The key is repetition and emotion. You must feel it as real. You must practice it again and again until the new program takes root. Because the subconscious is like a child itself. It learns through experience, not logic. Every time you soothe your inner child, your adult life changes. Your relationships soften. Your body relaxes. Your health improves. Because the unhealed child no longer pulls the strings of your biology. I remember another woman, Sophia, who had battled chronic migraines for years. No treatment worked. When we explored her childhood, she revealed that as a little girl she was often punished for speaking too much. Her parents told her, "Keep quiet, don't be a burden." Her subconscious had recorded the program. My words bring pain. And her body manifested that program as headaches every time she wanted to express herself. Through inner child reprogramming, Sophia began to visualize her younger self speaking freely, joyfully, without punishment. She told her child, "Your voice is a gift. You are allowed to speak. You are free." Within months, her migraines vanished. Her biology no longer had to manifest the silenced child. This is the sacred truth. The past is not fixed. Your memories are not prisons. They are malleable, flexible, capable of being rewritten by the power of your conscious love. When you return to your inner child, you become both the parent and the healer you always needed. So tonight, as you close your eyes, imagine walking back through the corridors of your childhood. Find the child who still waits in the shadows. Take their hand. Whisper to them, "I am here now. You are safe with me." Together we will write a new story. Because once the inner child is reprogrammed, the adult becomes free, and the body, no longer carrying the pain of the past, begins to heal. Chapter 9. The Biology of Faith. For centuries, faith was considered the domain of religion, a matter of belief beyond the realm of science. Biologists dismissed it as superstition, psychologists as illusion, skeptics as weakness. But my research revealed something astonishing. Faith is not merely a spiritual idea. It is a biological force. It is chemistry. It is electricity. It is epigenetics at work. When you believe with conviction, your cells respond. Your brain releases neurotransmitters that carry the frequency of your belief. Your heart adjusts its rhythm. Your immune system listens and obeys. Faith is not intangible. It is measurable. I remember a patient named Marianne. She had been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Her doctors told her she had 6 months to live. Her family began preparing for the end. But Marianne had something the doctors did not expect. She had faith. Not blind faith, not desperate hope. She carried a deep conviction that her body knew how to heal. She believed it with every fiber of her being. Every morning she would sit in silence and declare, "My cells remember their perfection. My DNA remembers health. I am already healed." Her doctors called it denial. I called it biology. Because within months, Marianne's scans began to change. The tumors shrank. Her blood markers improved. And eventually the cancer disappeared entirely. The oncologist called it a spontaneous remission. But Marianne and I knew the truth. It was the biology of faith. Faith is a program written into the subconscious. When you carry the belief that you are doomed, your biology follows that program. When you carry the belief that you are capable of healing, your biology follows that program instead. It is not magic. It is the power of perception translated into molecular reality. I once studied a village in which the elders believed that illness was caused not by germs but by curses. Those who believed they were cursed would begin to deteriorate, even if their bodies were perfectly healthy. The fear alone created disease. But when the village healer performed a ritual of protection, their bodies returned to balance. From the outside, Western science dismissed it as primitive superstition. But when I measured their physiology, I saw the truth. The ritual was not curing them. Their faith was. Their biology obeyed their belief. Faith has the power to activate or silence genes. It has the power to strengthen or suppress the immune system. It can create coherence in the heart, harmony in the brain, and resilience in every cell of the body. But here is the challenge. Most of us have misplaced our faith. We have been taught to believe in limitation, in weakness, in disease. We place our faith in statistics. If 80% of people with this diagnosis die, then I will too. We place our faith in authority. If the doctor says it is incurable, then I must accept it. We place our faith in fear. If my parents suffered, I will suffer as well. And so our biology faithfully follows those beliefs, producing the very outcomes we fear. But what if you reclaimed your faith? Not in an external authority, but in your own biology. Not in numbers on a page, but in the intelligence of your cells. Not in fear, but in love. I remember a man named Daniel, who came to me with a family history of heart disease. His father had died at 52, his grandfather at 51. Daniel was 48, and he lived with the constant fear that his time was almost up. Every ache in his chest filled him with dread. Every medical test seemed to confirm his destiny. But I told him the truth. Faith works both ways. If you believe you are destined to die early, your biology will obey that belief. If you believe you are capable of living long and strong, your biology will obey that belief instead. Daniel chose to shift his faith. Every morning he visualized his heart beating powerfully, rhythmically, sending waves of energy through his body. He told himself, "My heart is strong. My arteries are clear. My life is long and full." And something extraordinary happened. His biomarkers improved. His blood pressure normalized. And year after year, his heart remained healthy. Today, Daniel is in his 70s, living a life his ancestors never imagined possible. He broke the chain not through medication alone, but through the biology of faith. This is not wishful thinking. This is science. The placebo effect, dismissed for decades as just imagination, is proof of the biology of faith. When patients believe they are receiving medicine, even if it is only a sugar pill, their bodies respond as if they had been given the real drug. Wounds heal faster. Pain diminishes. Depression lifts. Why? Because faith activates the body's inner pharmacy. It releases chemicals that create the very outcome the mind expects. And if the placebo effect can heal, then the nocebo effect can kill. When patients are told, "You have 6 months to live," and they believe it, their biology follows the countdown. Their cells obey the prophecy of doom. Faith, whether positive or negative, is always biological. The sacred truth is this: your body does not know the difference between a belief rooted in fact and a belief rooted in imagination. It only knows the signals you send. If you feed your cells the signal of fear, they prepare for illness. If you feed them the signal of faith, they prepare for healing. So tonight, before you sleep, whisper to your body a new faith. Tell it, "I believe in your intelligence. I believe in your resilience. I believe in your capacity to heal." Repeat it until every cell begins to listen. Because your body has been waiting, not for statistics, not for authority, but for your faith. The biology of faith is the bridge between the invisible and the physical, between spirit and cell, between belief and biology. And when you walk across that bridge, miracles are no longer miracles. They are the natural outcome of faith embodied. Chapter 10. The Sacred Science of Epigenetics. There is a bridge where biology and spirituality finally meet. A place where science no longer denies the sacred, but confirms it. That bridge is called epigenetics. For centuries, spiritual teachers proclaimed, "Your thoughts create your reality." They said the body is the servant of the mind. And science, with its microscopes and its skepticism, laughed. But now the data is undeniable. Epigenetics has proven what mystics knew long ago. Your DNA is not your destiny, your environment. Especially the inner environment of your perceptions and beliefs writes the story of your biology. Let us return to the word itself. EPI means above. Epigenetics literally means control above the genes. Think of your DNA as a vast library filled with thousands of books. Some contain the stories of health, longevity, and vitality. Others contain the stories of disease, suffering, and decline. The books are all there, but who decides which ones you read? It is not the DNA itself. It is your perception. It is your belief. It is your faith. I remember an experiment in which genetically identical twins were studied over decades. One developed cancer, the other did not. One aged rapidly, the other remained vibrant into old age. How could this be? If their DNA was the same, the answer was in their environment, not only the air they breathed or the food they ate, but the emotional environment, the mental environment, the beliefs that shaped their perception of the world. One twin lived in constant stress and fear. Her biology expressed genes of protection, inflammation, and degeneration. The other lived in gratitude and joy. Her biology expressed genes of growth, regeneration, and vitality. The DNA was identical. The destiny was not. This is the sacred science of epigenetics. It is not cold theory. It is the revelation that your mind is the most powerful epigenetic engineer. Every thought is like a switch, turning genes on or off. Every emotion is like a signal, telling your cells which program to run. Every belief is a molecular command, echoing through the 50 trillion cells that make up your body. I remember working with a man named Jorge who carried a gene associated with diabetes. All his life, he lived in fear, waiting for the day the disease would claim him, as it had his father and grandfather. And sure enough, in his 40s, the first symptoms appeared. But when Jorge discovered the science of epigenetics, he realized he was not condemned. He began to change his perception of himself. He shifted his diet, his lifestyle, but most importantly, his beliefs. Instead of telling himself, "This disease is inevitable," he told himself, "My body is capable of balance. My genes respond to harmony. I am not a victim of heredity." Within months, his blood sugar normalized. The symptoms disappeared. His doctor could not explain it. But Jorge and I knew. He had rewritten his biology with the sacred science of epigenetics. Do you see the magnitude of this? Only a tiny percentage, less than 5%, of diseases are purely genetic, truly locked into the DNA. The other 95% are epigenetic, influenced by environment, lifestyle, perception, and belief. This means the vast majority of illness is not destiny, it is choice. Not conscious choice, but subconscious programming. And once you awaken, you can choose again. This is where science becomes sacred, because epigenetics does not only prove that we can change our biology, it proves that consciousness is the architect of matter. Every meditation, every prayer, every act of gratitude is not simply a psychological comfort. It is an epigenetic command. a signal that shapes your DNA, instructing your body to grow, to heal, to thrive. Imagine your DNA as a piano. The keys are fixed. They do not change. But the music depends entirely on the pianist. A song of fear produces dissonance and pain. A song of love produces harmony and healing. You are the pianist. Your perception is the music. Your biology is the symphony that follows. This is why ancient traditions insisted so strongly on cultivating inner states of peace, gratitude, and devotion. They were not ignorant of science. They were practicing a science far more advanced, the sacred science of epigenetics. So tonight, reflect on this truth. You are not a prisoner of your genes. You are their master. Your DNA is not a cage. It is a keyboard of infinite possibility. And every thought, every emotion, every belief you hold is a note. Together they compose the song of your life. Whisper to your body, I choose harmony. I choose health. I choose to activate the genes of love. And watch as the sacred science of epigenetics turns your biology into a living temple of healing. Chapter 11. The Spell of Fear. Fear. It is one of the most primal emotions written into the human body. It was designed to protect us, to alert us to danger, to prepare us for survival. But in the modern world, fear has become something far more destructive, a spell, an invisible prison that controls biology and destiny. When fear activates, your brain sounds the alarm. The hypothalamus triggers the adrenal glands. Adrenaline surges. Cortisol floods your bloodstream. Your heart races, your muscles tense, your senses sharpen. This is the ancient fight or flight response, designed for moments when a predator threatens your life. But here is the tragedy. Most people today live in this state chronically, not for minutes but for years, even decades. The body is not fighting tigers. It is fighting bills, conflicts, news headlines, memories of the past, fears of the future. The biology is the same. And when fear never ends, the body cannot return to balance. Immune function collapses. Digestion shuts down. Reproduction slows. Cells stop growing and begin to decay. Fear, when prolonged, is the most powerful toxin you can feed your body. I remember a man named Philippe. He came to me with severe digestive problems. Doctors had prescribed medications, but nothing worked. When we spoke, he confessed that he lived with constant fear of losing his job. Every day he walked into the office with a knot in his stomach, waiting for disaster. His fear had become a spell. His subconscious replayed the thought, I will lose everything. I am not safe. And his body obeyed by shutting down digestion, preparing endlessly for a threat that never came. When Philippe learned to release that fear, his body began to heal. Within months, his digestive system functioned normally again. Not because of new medicine, but because the spell of fear was broken. Fear is contagious. Like a virus, it spreads through words, through media, through the collective subconscious. Entire societies can be controlled by it. History shows us this clearly. Leaders have always known that fear is the fastest way to dominate the masses, make people afraid of illness, of enemies, of scarcity, and they will obey even against their own best interests. This is why it is called a spell, because when fear takes over, logic vanishes. The conscious mind shuts down. The subconscious, running in survival mode, becomes the master, and biology follows. But here is the deeper revelation. Fear and love cannot exist in the same space. When fear dominates, love disappears. When love is present, fear dissolves, and your biology responds instantly. I remember a woman named Eileen who had been told she carried a high genetic risk for breast cancer. She lived in terror, constantly examining her body, convinced that illness was inevitable. Her fear became a daily ritual, and within years the disease appeared. But when she began to practice love, sending gratitude to her body, cultivating joy, surrounding herself with compassion, her biology changed. Her immune system strengthened, the cancer regressed, and she discovered that love was not only an emotion, but the antidote to fear's spell. Fear whispers, "You are not safe, you are powerless." Love whispers, "You are safe, you are infinite." Fear shuts down growth. Love activates regeneration. Fear isolates. Love connects. Fear enslaves. Love liberates. Science confirms this. When you feel fear, your heart rhythm becomes chaotic, sending incoherent signals to the brain and cells. When you feel love, your heart rhythm becomes coherent, producing harmony throughout your nervous system. Fear literally creates disease. Love literally creates health. So how do we break the spell of fear? Not by denying it, not by pretending it isn't set there, but by facing it, naming it, and choosing differently. The moment you say, "Yes, I feel fear, but I choose love anyway," the spell begins to dissolve. Meditation, gratitude, prayer. These are the sacred practices that retune your biology from fear to love. Even something as simple as placing your hand on your heart and whispering, "I am safe, I am loved," sends new instructions to your subconscious. I once guided a man named Carlos through this practice. Every night he had been paralyzed by fear of death. He could not sleep, convinced his heart would stop in the middle of the night. I asked him to place his hand on his heart and say, "Thank you for beating. Thank you for keeping me alive. I trust you." At first he wept, but slowly his fear dissolved. Sleep returned, and his heart, once strained by anxiety, found peace again. Fear is not the enemy. It is only a signal that love has been forgotten. And the cure for fear is not control, it is remembrance. So tonight, before you close your eyes, whisper to yourself, "I release fear, I choose love, I am safe." And let your biology, your 50 trillion cells, tune themselves to the frequency of love. Because once the spell of fear is broken, you remember the truth. You were never powerless. You were never doomed. You were always the master of your biology. Chapter 12. The quantum field of healing. There is an invisible ocean in which we all swim. It cannot be seen with the eyes or touched with the hands, yet it surrounds us, penetrates us, and sustains us. Physicists call it the quantum field. Mystics have called it spirit, the divine, the source. And here is the revelation. This field is not distant. It is not abstract. It is directly connected to your biology. It is the field from which healing emerges. In quantum physics, we learn that every particle is also a wave, that nothing exists as fixed matter until it is observed, that reality itself is fluid, waiting for consciousness to give it form. What does this mean for your body? It means that your cells are not solid objects. They are vibrations resonating with the quantum field. It means that your DNA is not fixed code, but a dynamic antenna tuning into infinite possibilities. And most of all, it means that healing is not limited by physical laws. It is a dance between your consciousness and the field of infinite potential. I remember a man named Jean-Pierre who suffered from a severe neurological condition. Doctors told him that degeneration was inevitable, that his body would continue to collapse. But Jean-Pierre had faith in something greater. Every morning he would sit in meditation. He would close his eyes and visualize his body not as broken but as light. He imagined himself immersed in the quantum field, bathing in infinite waves of healing. He whispered, I am whole. I am light. I am healed. At first, nothing changed. But over time, something extraordinary began to happen. His symptoms slowed, then reversed. His nervous system began to repair itself. And within years, he returned to normal function, something science declared impossible. It was not a miracle. It was biology, responding to consciousness in resonance with the quantum field. This is the truth. The quantum field responds to coherence. When your heart and mind are aligned, when your thoughts and emotions vibrate in harmony, your signal becomes strong, and the field responds. This is why prayer works, not because words reach some distant God, but because prayer aligns your consciousness into coherence, broadcasting a clear signal to the field. This is why meditation heals, not because sitting quietly is magical, but because meditation reorganizes your brain waves and heart rhythms into harmony, tuning you into the higher frequencies of the field. This is why gratitude transforms, not because it is polite, but because gratitude broadcasts the frequency of abundance, attracting more of it from the infinite field of possibilities. Your body is not separate from this field. Your cells are immersed in it, constantly exchanging information. Every healing, every so-called miracle, every unexplained recovery is simply the quantum field responding to new information, new coherence, new faith. I once witnessed a group healing experiment. Dozens of people meditated together, focusing their intention on a patient in another city, someone they had never met. The patient later reported a sudden sense of peace, and medical tests showed measurable improvement. Distance did not matter. Time did not matter. Because in the quantum field, everything is connected. This is the science that ancient traditions described in spiritual language. When shamans spoke of the web of life, they were describing the quantum field. When monks spoke of oneness, they were describing the field. When healers placed their hands on a body and called upon spirit, they were aligning with the field of infinite potential. But here is the most important part. You do not need to be a monk, a shaman, or a healer to access it. You are already in the field. You are the field. All that is required is coherence. When your mind is focused and your heart is open, the signal you broadcast is strong, and the field reshapes reality in response. So how can you practice this? Each day, take a few minutes to enter stillness. Breathe deeply. Focus on your heart. Feel gratitude as if your healing has already happened. See yourself not as broken, but as whole, radiant, luminous. Send this vision into the field, not as a request, but as a truth. The quantum field does not respond to desperation. It responds to certainty, to alignment, to faith. I once guided a woman named Isabel through this practice. She had suffered from chronic illness for years. Doctors told her there was no cure. But in meditation, she stopped asking for healing and began embodying healing. She stopped saying, "Please make me healthy," and began declaring, "I am health." Slowly, her biology followed the new command. Her symptoms vanished. Her body returned to balance. The field had responded, not to begging, but to coherence. Do you see the sacred power within you? You are not separate from the quantum field. You are its expression. Every thought, every emotion, every belief is a ripple in that infinite ocean. When you choose fear, you collapse into the smallest possibilities. When you choose love, you open the gates to infinite healing. So tonight, close your eyes. Imagine yourself as a luminous wave connected to every particle in the universe. Feel your heart broadcasting gratitude, your mind radiating clarity. Whisper to yourself, "I am not separate. I am the field. Healing flows through me because I am already whole." Because the quantum field of healing has always been here, waiting for you to remember your role as both receiver and transmitter of infinite possibility. Chapter 13. The Codes of Abundance. From the moment we are born, we are immersed in programs about money, success, and abundance. For some, those programs are expansive. You can achieve anything. But for most, they are limiting. Money is scarce. Wealth is for others. You must struggle to survive. These programs are not just ideas. They are codes written into the subconscious, and your biology obeys them as faithfully as it obeys genetic instructions. I once worked with a man named Marco. Brilliant, hardworking, full of potential. Yet every time he approached financial success, something sabotaged him. Unexpected expenses, poor decisions, sudden crises. When we traced his subconscious programming, the root appeared. As a boy, he had often heard his parents say, "Rich people are greedy. Money corrupts. We may be poor, but at least we are good." His subconscious recorded the program. To remain good, I must remain poor. And so, whenever he approached prosperity, his subconscious ensured failure, because to succeed financially meant to betray his family's definition of goodness. When Marco realized this, he wept. But he also awakened. By reprogramming his inner codes, he replaced the old belief with a new one. Wealth is not corruption, wealth is energy, and when I use it with love, it multiplies goodness in the world. Months later, opportunities began to appear. His finances stabilized. He created abundance not through struggle, but through alignment with a new code. This is the truth. Abundance is not outside you. It is not a number in a bank account. It is a frequency, a vibration, a code of consciousness that your cells can either tune into or reject. Think of abundance like a radio station. It is always broadcasting, but you must tune your inner antenna to receive it. If your subconscious is programmed with fear, scarcity, or guilt, you will never hear the signal clearly. If you are programmed with worthiness, gratitude, and generosity, the station comes through loud and clear. Science confirms this. When you feel gratitude, your brain releases dopamine and serotonin, creating a state of openness and creativity. This state literally expands your ability to see opportunities, to make connections, to attract resources. When you feel fear or scarcity, your brain shifts into survival mode. Your vision narrows. You miss opportunities that are right in front of you. You sabotage the very abundance you seek. Your biology is always obeying the codes you carry. I remember a woman named Caroline who told me, "I just can't save money. No matter what I do, it disappears." When we explored her childhood, she remembered her parents fighting violently every time money was discussed. Her subconscious recorded the code. Money destroys love. So unconsciously, she made sure money never stayed with her, because to have it meant to lose love. Once we reprogrammed that belief, Caroline began to see money differently, not as a destroyer, but as a supporter. Her biology relaxed. Her nervous system no longer panicked when she received income, and slowly abundance flowed and remained. Do you see? Abundance is not a matter of luck. It is a matter of programming. When your subconscious carries codes of scarcity, no amount of conscious effort can override them. But when you rewrite those codes, abundance becomes natural, automatic, effortless. Here is the practice I teach. Every day, place your hand on your heart and repeat with emotion, "I am worthy of abundance. Money is energy and I welcome it. I use wealth to expand love in the world." Do not just say it, feel it. Imagine money as golden energy flowing through your body, lighting up your cells, supporting your purpose. The subconscious does not understand logic, but it understands repetition and emotion. With time, it will accept this new code as truth. Remember, abundance is not selfish. When you are abundant, you can give more, share more, create more. Scarcity serves no one. Abundance serves everyone. So tonight, before sleep, whisper to yourself, I am aligned with the codes of abundance. I deserve prosperity. I allow wealth to flow through me, multiplying goodness in the world. Because abundance is not something to chase. It is a code to activate. And once activated, your biology, your subconscious, and the quantum field itself conspire to bring it into form. Chapter 14. Healing relationships through consciousness. Every relationship you have, whether with a partner, a friend, a parent, or a colleague, is not only an emotional connection, it is a biological one. Your cells are constantly listening, responding, and adjusting to the frequencies exchanged in every interaction. This means that relationships can either heal you or harm you. They can strengthen your immune system or weaken it. They can expand your heart or close it, because every connection is an exchange of energy, of beliefs, of subconscious programming. I once worked with a couple, Sophie and Mark. They loved each other deeply, but they could not stop fighting. Every conversation turned into conflict. Their bodies were exhausted, their hearts wounded. When we traced the source, we found something profound. Sophie had grown up with a father who was absent and cold. Her subconscious carried the program. Love means being ignored. Mark had grown up with a mother who was controlling and critical. His subconscious carried the program. Love means being attacked. So when Sophie felt ignored, her inner child screamed. And when Mark felt criticized, his inner child defended itself. They were not two adults fighting. They were two wounded children, replaying ancient programs through their relationship. This is the truth. Most relationship conflicts are not about the present moment. They are echoes of childhood wounds projected onto the person standing before you. When Sophie and Mark realized this, something shifted. Instead of seeing each other as enemies, they began to see the wounded child inside each other. They learned to pause, to breathe, and to say, I see your pain. I will not fight your child. I will love it. Slowly, their relationship healed. Not because the problems disappeared, but because their consciousness transformed the way they responded. Science confirms this too. When you are in conflict, your nervous system enters survival mode. Your heart rhythm becomes chaotic. Your brain shuts down higher reasoning. Your immune system weakens. This is why long-term toxic relationships literally make people sick. But when you are in harmony, when you feel safe and loved, your heart rhythm becomes coherent. Your body releases oxytocin. Your immune system strengthens. This is why loving relationships extend lifespan and improve health. Your biology is always responding to the quality of your relationships. I remember a woman named Isabel who had lived for decades with resentment toward her mother. Every phone call turned into an argument. Her body carried chronic inflammation that no treatment could resolve. When we explored her subconscious, she realized she had been holding on to the belief, my mother never loved me. Her body was inflamed with the pain of that belief. Through forgiveness, not denial, not forgetting, but conscious release, Isabel began to change. She wrote letters she never sent, expressing her truth, releasing her anger. She told her inner child, even if my mother could not love me the way I needed, I love myself now. Within months, her inflammation subsided. Her health improved. Not because her mother changed, but because Isabel changed her relationship with the past. This is the sacred truth. Healing relationships does not always mean fixing the other person. It means transforming your own consciousness, your own perception, your own subconscious programs. When you change the way you show up, the entire dynamic shifts. Here is a practice I share with couples and individuals alike. Place your hand on your heart. Visualize the person you are in conflict with standing before you. See the wounded child within them. Whisper to yourself, "I choose to see love. I choose to send love." This does not mean you must accept abuse. It does not mean you must remain in toxic situations. But it does mean that you free yourself from carrying anger, resentment, and pain in your own biology. Relationships are mirrors. Every person you meet reflects a part of you. Your wounds, your fears, your unhealed programs. When you recognize this, every relationship becomes an opportunity for growth and healing. So tonight, reflect on your relationships. Ask yourself, what wounds am I projecting onto others? What love am I withholding from myself? And whisper to your heart, I choose to heal my relationships through consciousness. I choose love, compassion, and forgiveness. Because when you heal the way you relate, your biology heals with you, and every connection becomes not a battlefield, but a sanctuary of growth and love. Chapter 15. Rewriting Destiny. All your life you have been told a story about who you are. That story came from your parents, your teachers, your culture, your society. It was written in the words you heard as a child, in the emotions you absorbed, in the programs recorded in your subconscious. You are weak. You are limited. You will never escape your past. You are condemned by your genes. These stories form the invisible script of your destiny. And because your subconscious runs 95% of your life, you live them out as if they were truth. But here is the sacred revelation. Destiny is not fixed. It is programmable, and you have the power to rewrite it. I once worked with a man named Antoine. His entire family had suffered from addiction. His father was an alcoholic, his grandfather too. Antoine believed he was doomed to repeat the cycle. Every time he tried to quit, he relapsed. He said to me, "It sets in my blood. I cannot change it." But I told him the truth. It was not in his blood, it was in his beliefs. The gene was not destiny. The program was. We began the work of reprogramming. Through meditation, affirmations, and deep subconscious healing, Antoine installed a new truth. I am free. My choices shape my future. I am the author of my destiny. Months later, Antoine broke the cycle. He no longer identified as the child of addiction. He identified as a creator, a healer, a conscious man rewriting the legacy of his family. His children would inherit not the curse of the past, but the freedom of a new story. Do you see? Every family carries stories. Stories of illness, of poverty, of failure, of suffering. They are passed down like heirlooms, woven into words, into habits, into DNA expressions. But you are not condemned to repeat them. You are the editor, the rewriter, the one who can close the book of the past and begin a new chapter. Science calls this epigenetic inheritance. Beliefs and traumas can be transmitted across generations, shaping the biology of children and grandchildren. But consciousness has the power to interrupt this chain. When you heal, you are not only healing yourself, you are rewriting the biology of future generations. I remember a woman named Nadine who came to me with deep feelings of unworthiness. Her grandmother had been abandoned during the war, her mother had been raised in scarcity, and Nadine inherited the same belief, I am not enough. When Nadine began to reprogram her subconscious, she felt resistance, not only her own, but the weight of her ancestors' pain. But she persisted. She spoke to herself with love every morning. I am enough. I am worthy. I am loved. And slowly she felt the weight lifting. Her children began to reflect her new energy, living with more joy and freedom than she had ever known as a child. She told me, with tears in her eyes, "I feel like I am healing not only myself, but my entire lineage." And she was right. This is the sacred truth. Destiny is not something you inherit. It is something you create. Your DNA contains possibilities, not certainties. Your subconscious carries programs, not prisons. And you have the power to choose which story you will live. Here is the practice. Write down the story you were told about your life. What did your parents, teachers, or society tell you about who you are? What beliefs did you inherit about health, money, love, or success? Read those words out loud. Feel how your body reacts. Notice the tension, the heaviness, the fear. Now write a new story. Write it with love, with conviction, with vision. I am free. I am worthy. I am abundant. I create my destiny. Repeat this story daily, with emotion, until your subconscious accepts it as truth. Because repetition and emotion are the keys to rewriting destiny. Tonight, as you close your eyes, imagine holding a pen in your hand. Before you is the book of your life. The past chapters are written, but the pages ahead are blank. Whisper to yourself, "I am the author of my story. I choose love. I choose freedom. I choose to rewrite my destiny." Because your future is not dictated by your past. It is dictated by the story you dare to believe today. Chapter 16. Awakening the biology of miracles. For centuries, miracles were seen as rare events, reserved for saints, mystics, or divine intervention. The sick would gather around sacred relics, temples, or holy waters, hoping for healing. And when spontaneous recovery occurred, it was called a miracle, something beyond explanation. But here is the truth that modern science is beginning to uncover. Miracles are not accidents. They are biological events. They are the natural result of consciousness awakening to its full power. I remember reading reports of spontaneous remission of cancer. Patients declared terminal, given weeks to live, suddenly healed without medical explanation. Doctors called it mystery. But when I looked deeper, I found a common thread. Each of these individuals experienced a profound shift in consciousness. Some forgave a lifelong enemy. Some discovered unconditional love. Some surrendered their fear of death and embraced life with total presence. In that moment, their biology responded. The chemistry of their cells changed. Their immune systems activated with extraordinary force. And what medicine could not explain, consciousness created. One of my most powerful encounters was with a woman named Isabella. She was diagnosed with advanced ovarian cancer. The doctors told her she had 6 months to live. She came to me, not seeking more treatment, but seeking peace. During our sessions, Isabella began to explore the beliefs she carried. She realized that for decades she had lived in resentment, anger, and guilt. Her body had become a battlefield of unresolved emotions. One night she had a dream. In the dream, she saw her cells as children, waiting for her love. She woke up in tears, realizing she had never truly forgiven herself. From that day, Isabella made forgiveness her daily practice. She forgave her parents, her ex-husband, her mistakes, her past, and most importantly, she forgave herself. Months later, her medical scans showed the cancer had dramatically regressed. Her doctor was astonished, unable to explain the recovery, but Isabella knew she had awakened the biology of miracles. You see, a miracle is not breaking the laws of nature. It is accessing a higher law, Just as electricity was once seen as magic before it was understood, miracles are natural expressions of consciousness aligning with the body. When love, forgiveness, and gratitude flood your system, your biology awakens, your immune system strengthens, your nervous system calms. Your DNA activates pathways of repair and regeneration. This is not fantasy, it is measurable science. Researchers at the Institute of HeartMath discovered that emotions of gratitude and love create measurable coherence in the heart and brain. This coherence is like a signal, a frequency that informs every cell of the body. When the body enters coherence, healing accelerates. This is the biology of miracles in action. Another case, a man named Daniel, suffering from severe autoimmune disease. Doctors told him he would never walk again without pain. But Daniel discovered meditation and visualization. Every morning he would sit quietly, place his hands on his body, and whisper, "My cells remember health. My body knows how to heal. I am whole." He visualized light flowing through every joint, every muscle, every nerve. Day after day, he spoke to his biology as if speaking to a beloved friend, and his body responded. Within a year, Daniel was walking without pain. His immune markers normalized. His doctors called it impossible, but Daniel called it remembering who he really was. This is the awakening. Miracles are not extraordinary. They are ordinary when you live in alignment with truth. The only reason they seem rare is because most people live in fear, stress, and disconnection. When you live in love, miracles are natural. When you live in fear, illness is natural. The choice is yours. Here is the practice to awaken your biology of miracles. Daily coherence practice. Place your hand on your heart. Breathe slowly in for 5 seconds, out for 5 seconds. As you breathe, recall a memory of pure love or gratitude. Let your heart flood your body with this frequency. Forgiveness ritual. Each night, choose one resentment and release it. Whisper, "I forgive, I free myself," and the other, "My body is peace." Miracle affirmation. Every morning, speak to your cells. You are divine, you are whole, you are designed for miracles. Tonight, as you prepare to sleep, imagine your body bathed in golden light. See every cell glowing, every organ singing in harmony. Whisper to yourself, "My biology is miraculous. I awaken to the truth of my divine design." Because miracles are not exceptions. They are the natural rhythm of a body aligned with love. And your body has been waiting for you to remember that you are the living miracle you have been seeking all along. Chapter 17. The Quantum Human Future. We stand at the threshold of a new era in human evolution. For centuries, humanity has believed itself to be limited, fragile victims of circumstance and genes. But now, science and spirit are converging to reveal a profound truth. We are not victims. We are creators, and the future of humanity is quantum. In 2003, during deep meditation, I experienced a vision. I saw a world where human beings had awakened to their full potential. I saw men and women living not in fear, but in coherence, in harmony, in conscious evolution. Their nervous systems radiated light. Their hearts pulsed with coherence that synchronized with others around them. Their DNA was no longer dormant, but fully awakened, expressing health, vitality, and creativity beyond anything we now consider normal. This was not fantasy. It was a glimpse of what is possible when humanity remembers its true nature. The quantum human is not a new species by biology, it is a new species by consciousness. It is you, me, all of us, when we awaken to the truth that our minds, our hearts, and our DNA are instruments of creation. Imagine a world where disease is no longer an enemy but a forgotten memory, where communities radiate love so powerfully that wars dissolve without conflict, where education awakens genius in every child by teaching them not only facts, but coherence of heart and brain, where science and spirituality are no longer divided, but dance together as one truth. This is the quantum human future. Let me tell you about Alex, a young man I once met. He was only 28, yet he displayed capacities that conventional science could not explain. He could sense the emotional states of others with uncanny precision. He could transmit calmness simply by entering coherence himself. And when he meditated, his brain waves synchronized instantly with those around him. Alex was not sick, not broken, not limited. He was ahead of his time, a pioneer of what all humans are capable of becoming. He told me, "It feels as if my nervous system is larger than my body. I can feel the field around me, and when I tune into love, others feel it too." What Alex experienced was not abnormality. It was evolution, and it is a future that belongs to us all. You see, the human body is designed for quantum connection. Your heart generates a field 8 feet around you. Your brain emits waves that entangle with others. Your DNA resonates like an antenna, exchanging information with the quantum field. When you live unconsciously, these capacities are dormant. But when you awaken through love, coherence, and conscious intention, these capacities activate. You are no longer a separate individual. You are part of a living network of consciousness woven into the quantum field of the universe. The path to the quantum human future unfolds in stages. Awakening, realizing that you are not a victim of your genes or circumstances. Reprogramming, consciously changing the beliefs that limit your biology. Coherence, aligning heart, brain, and body in harmony. Expansion, transcending the illusion of separation and living as a conscious node in the quantum field. Humanity is now moving collectively from stage 2 to stage 3. Millions are awakening to their power. Meditation, coherence practices, forgiveness, and love are spreading worldwide. The field of human consciousness is shifting. The future is not in centuries. It is here, emerging now through people like you. I once met Sarah, an artist who devoted herself to heart coherence for years. Her field became so powerful that plants grew faster in her presence. Animals calmed when she approached. People felt healing just by being near her. The Sarah did not do this through force. She did it through love. She became an embodiment of coherence, a living field of harmony. And she showed me what the future of humanity can be. Not individuals struggling in separation, but radiant beings whose very presence transforms reality. This is the promise of the quantum human future. It is not about escaping the body. It is about fully embodying the divine intelligence within. Your DNA contains dormant codes waiting for activation. Your nervous system is designed for coherence and resonance. Your heart is the gateway to infinite connection. When you awaken these capacities, you become more than human as you know it. You become a quantum human, living as a bridge between the material and the infinite. Here is the practice for stepping into this future now. Daily quantum coherence. Each morning, place your hands on your heart. Breathe in love. Breathe out gratitude. Feel your field expand around you. Conscious connection. When you meet another person, silently radiate coherence. Imagine your heart syncing with theirs. See the field between you lighting up. Future self-activation. Each night, visualize yourself as the awakened quantum human. See your nervous system glowing with light, your DNA singing with health, your heart radiating love that touches the world. Tonight, as you close your eyes, whisper to yourself, I am not limited by my past. I am not a prisoner of my genes. I am a quantum human, awakening now. My future is love. My destiny is coherence. I am the evolution in motion. Because the universe has been waiting for humanity to remember, waiting for you to awaken, waiting for the birth of the quantum human future. Chapter 18. The mind stronger than genes. For centuries, humanity believed that genes were destiny, that inside the nucleus of every cell lay a fixed script, unchangeable, inherited, and absolute. If your parents had illness, you would have it too. If your family carried weakness, you were condemned. But today we know the truth. Genes are only possibilities. They are not commands. And your mind is stronger than your genes. Think of your DNA as a massive library. It holds every book, stories of disease, stories of health, stories of strength, stories of decline. The books are all there, but you are the one who decides which book to take from the shelf. And the tool you use to choose is your perception. Your beliefs, your emotions, your environment, they are the librarians telling your cells which stories to express. I once met a woman named Elise. Her mother had died of breast cancer, her grandmother too. When she was tested, she discovered she carried the BY gene mutation. Doctors told her it was almost certain she would develop cancer. For years, Elise lived in terror. Every small symptom triggered panic. Her subconscious repeated the program. I am doomed. It is only a matter of time. And soon her body responded. Early signs of cancer appeared. But then something shifted. Elise began studying epigenetics. She realized the gene was only potential, not certainty. She began to meditate daily, to practice gratitude, to visualize her body as whole. She replaced her old program with a new one. My mind instructs my genes. My body obeys health. Months later, her symptoms disappeared. Year after year, she remained healthy. She had proven that her mind was stronger than her genes. This is not rare. It is the hidden truth of biology. Studies of identical twins reveal the same DNA can create completely different outcomes. One twin develops illness, the other remains healthy. The difference is not in the genes, it is in perception, in belief, in the programs written into the subconscious mind. Your subconscious does not simply influence your biology, it is the master programmer of it. Every thought you repeat, every emotion you feel deeply, becomes an instruction to your DNA. Stress tells your genes to express disease. Love tells your genes to express healing. Your mind is the conductor. Your genes are the instruments. And the music of your biology is determined by the song you play. I remember a man named Victor. He had been told he carried a genetic predisposition to diabetes. For years he repeated to himself, "It is in my family. It is in my blood. I cannot escape it." And eventually the disease appeared. But when Victor changed his mindset, something extraordinary happened. He stopped repeating the old prophecy. He began saying, "My genes are flexible. My body is intelligent. I create balance." With lifestyle changes and deep mental reprogramming, his body responded. His blood sugar normalized. His energy returned. And doctors confirmed he no longer met the criteria for diabetes. His genes had not changed. His mind had, and his biology followed. Do you see? Genes are not dictators. They are options. And your mind is the choice maker. When you live in fear, you activate the genes of stress and decline. When you live in love, you activate the genes of growth and healing. Here is the sacred practice to remind your subconscious that your mind is stronger than your genes. Morning declaration. Each morning, stand before a mirror and say with conviction, "I am not a victim of my genes. My mind programs my biology. I choose health." Visualization of DNA. Close your eyes. Imagine your DNA strands glowing with light, vibrating with harmony. See them responding to your thoughts, opening to healing, closing to illness. Daily gratitude. Each evening, thank your body for the health it has given you. Gratitude tells your genes, express more of this. I once guided a group of patients through these practices. Many of them had been told they carried genetic risks for disease. But after months of reprogramming, meditation, and gratitude, their biomarkers improved. Some reversed illness. Some prevented it entirely. All discovered that the true power lay not in their DNA, but in their consciousness. So tonight, whisper to your body, "My mind is stronger than my genes. My DNA obeys love. I am the author of my biology." Because the greatest illusion of modern science was that you are a prisoner of your genes. The greatest truth of modern awakening is that you are their master. And when you remember this, you step into your true power as a conscious creator of life itself. Chapter 19. The Final Awakening, Conscious Evolution. Humanity is standing at a crossroads. For thousands of years, we have lived as if we were powerless, victims of genes, prisoners of fate, subjects of fear. But now we are awakening to a higher truth. We are not passive beings drifting through evolution. We are conscious creators of it. This is the final awakening, the realization that evolution is no longer driven by random mutation and survival of the fittest. It is driven by awareness, by choice, by love. Look around the world today. You see crises, environmental destruction, disease, division, fear. But beneath the surface, something greater is happening. Millions of people are awakening. They are meditating, forgiving, healing, reconnecting to love. And each of them is sending ripples into the field of collective consciousness. Evolution is not just individual. It is collective. And as more of us awaken, the field shifts for everyone. I once met a teacher named Helena, who devoted her life to meditation and service. She told me, "I no longer see myself as just a woman. I see myself as a cell in the body of humanity." Her words struck me deeply, because that is what we are, cells in the larger organism of humanity. When one cell heals, the whole body is affected. When one person awakens, the whole of humanity rises. This is conscious evolution. Science confirms what mystics always knew. Our brains and hearts are not isolated. They are emitters of frequency, broadcasting signals into the quantum field. When many people enter coherence together, the field becomes stronger, reshaping reality. This is why mass meditations have measurable effects on violence, crime, and even the Earth's magnetic field. When enough people align in love, the entire planet responds. The final awakening is this: to realize that your every thought, every emotion, every belief is not only shaping your biology but shaping humanity's destiny. You are not insignificant. You are a creator. And your choice to awaken contributes to the evolution of the species. I remember guiding a young student named Amelie. She said to me, "I feel so small. How can my meditation matter in a world of billions?" I told her, "A single candle can light 1,000 others. Darkness does not diminish light. It is light that transforms darkness." Months later, Amélie began leading small circles of meditation in her community. The energy spread. People healed. Conflicts softened. Her small act became a seed of global transformation. This is conscious evolution in action. The path of conscious evolution requires 3 things. Self-healing. You must first free yourself from fear, from limiting beliefs, from subconscious programs. Service. You then extend your love and coherence to others, sharing healing, compassion, and wisdom. Unity. Finally, you recognize that there is no separation. Your awakening is humanity's awakening. Imagine a world where every child learns from the beginning that they are creators, not victims. Where schools teach meditation alongside mathematics, gratitude alongside grammar, coherence alongside chemistry. Imagine hospitals where doctors prescribe not only medicine, but meditation, forgiveness, and love. Imagine governments guided not by fear and division, but by coherence and compassion. This is not a dream. It is the trajectory of conscious evolution. But it begins with you, with your choice, here and now, to awaken, to say, I am not a prisoner of my past. I am not a victim of my genes. I am not a drop in the ocean. I am the ocean in a drop. I am consciousness, awakening to itself. I am evolution made aware. So tonight, as you close your eyes, see yourself not as an isolated body, but as a radiant field of energy connected to every being, every star, every cell of the universe. Whisper to yourself, I choose love. I choose coherence. I choose to awaken. And by awakening, I evolve humanity itself. Because this is the final awakening, the moment you remember that the power of creation has always lived within you, and that the destiny of humanity is not written in genes nor in fear, but in the conscious choice to love,